hour 30 of realizing that my talking stage is ghosting me. What are the things that I've done since then? Still have not heard back from him. I'm assuming that he's no longer asleep because it's been 30 hours since I heard from him last. Everything that I've done, I drove an hour and a half to his apartment to try to reach him because I'm crazy. Knocked on his window, he didn't come out. His car was in the driveway, didn't come out. DM'd his roommate, his mom, his sister, his brother on Instagram. Did not hear from them. Messaged them all on Facebook. Tried to hear from them. I'm really worried that he's just not okay. Clearly, if you're...
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Let's talk about modern dating. Women say they want a good man, but the filter settings say otherwise. Because apparently the minimum requirements now are the 3 6s. 6-pack, 6 figures, 6 inches. At that point, you are not dating. You are assembling a Marvel character. If he's missing 1 6, she's like, yeah, he's great, but something feels off. Yeah, his bank account. Women be like, I just want a normal guy. Then swipes left on every man who has entrepreneur in his bio. Chad doesn't even have a bio. Just a gym mirror and emotional unavailability. And women are like, he seems mysterious. No, he just doesn't care. But women love a man who doesn't care. Because attention from everyone is boring. Attention from Chad feels like winning the lottery with bad odds. Now let's talk about the simp economy. There are men out here paying for OnlyFans, buying bath water, sending donations like, hope you notice me. Meanwhile, Chad is borrowing her charger and leaving. And somehow, she respects Chad more. When I'm referring to Chad, let's not forget about the whole family. Chen, Tyrone, and Pancho. Because in dating, effort is unattractive. And indifference is luxury branding. Women don't want a man who tries. They want a man who could try, but doesn't. That's premium. A guy buys her flowers, she's like, that's sweet. Chad forgets her birthday, she's like, he's just bad with dates. Chad has no job, no direction, no emotional depth, but he has confidence, which is just unemployment with optimism. Women say they want stability, but they get bored when nothing is on fire. They don't want a relationship. They want a situationship with character development. They don't want peace. They want anxiety with abs. And women swear they don't chase. They absolutely chase. They just call it seeing where it goes. If a man ignores her, suddenly he's interested. If he's available, she's like, why are you so available? Because I like you? Disgusting. Women don't want the man who chooses them. They want the man they have to earn. That's not romance. That's competitive shopping. She'll say, I want a man who's emotionally mature. Then fall for a man who communicates exclusively in gym emojis. And when it goes wrong, suddenly all men are trash. Not Chad. Men. Chad is just misunderstood. He's not toxic. He's emotionally complex. No, he's just tall and quiet. Women don't fall for Chad because he's perfect. They fall because he's inconsistent. Consistency is boring. Inconsistency feels like potential. And potential is the most dangerous drug on earth. Meanwhile, a good guy's out here like, I brought snacks and emotional stability. And she's like, I'm just not ready for something serious. 2 months later, she's crying over a guy who can't spell commitment. Now let's talk about jester maxing. When men realise they don't have the free sixes, they unlock the hidden stat. Personality DLC. They become funny, charming, entertaining, emotionally intelligent. Basically, unpaid Netflix. They are like, look, I don't have abs, but I can do voices. Chad doesn't need jokes. He just breathes in their vicinity, and women forgive his childhood trauma. If Chad is a Ferrari, Jester Max guys are Uber drivers with stand-up routines. We are out here tap dancing for romantic relevance, not to win her over, just to not be called like a brother. And look, these guys are dumb too. They chase, simp, fall for red flags shaped like human beings. Women will chase Chad for 10 years, fall pregnant, get left behind, and then come crawling back to the simp, and still use Chad as a personality reference point. He wouldn't have done that. Yeah. He wouldn't have done anything, because he didn't care. So here's the truth. Women don't want the best man. They want the most exclusive man, because nothing is hotter than feeling like you won a competition you didn't know you were in. And Chad isn't special. He's just unavailable with good lighting. But these women, they love toxic men. They just love a man who feels like a bad decision in progress. And men will either become Chad or become funny trying. Either way, somebody's coping. So remember, the free sixes aren't standards. They are a fantasy wish list written by TikTok and emotional trauma. If this made you laugh, hit like, subscribe, and remember, Chad didn't win because he's better. He won because he replied, lol, and disappeared. Quick heads up before we keep going. I've got a Facebook page where I post a lot more of this stuff. It's not a business page, it's not monetized, and it's not a brand. It's a non-profit page. I run it purely because I think these conversations actually matter. No sponsors, no ads, no fake positivity, just raw clips, thoughts, arguments, humour, and uncomfortable topics people avoid. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not pushing an agenda. It's just a place for people who still like thinking, questioning, disagreeing, and laughing without everything being cleaned up for algorithms. If you agree with me, disagree with me, or just want somewhere that isn't filtered to death, the link's there. You'll usually see stuff there before it ever hits YouTube. Alright, back to the video.
Yeah, I just think marriage is an L. In today's day and age, I mean, there's obviously the tradition component if you're religious, but when it comes to the government involvement and the potential financial ramifications of having to unwind a marriage, it does not make sense. Just a couple quick stats on the marriage thing. 50% of marriages end in divorce. 80% of divorces are initiated by women. 90% if she's college educated. 90% of child support payments go from men to women. 97% of alimony payments go from men to women. So I think marriage is a pretty big L for men, and they get absolutely crushed in the court system. Prenuptial agreements can get thrown out. So even if you do have a prenuptial agreement, they can definitely be thrown out. They're not bulletproof. So don't get married, guys. Don't do it.
Let's be real for a second. Modern relationships feel like Russian roulette. You don't do something right. You say something wrong. You phrase a joke badly. You forget a date. You look in the general direction of another woman like your eyes accidentally updated software. And suddenly, you are in a courtroom slideshow presentation about why you are emotionally unavailable, financially irresponsible, and spiritually problematic. One wrong sentence, and you were sleeping on a mate's couch, eating instant noodles like you just lost a custody battle with your own fridge. And nobody warns you. They sell you the Disney version. Love, teamwork, building a future together. They don't tell you that relationships are basically emotional Jenga. Everything looks stable until one block comes out and the whole thing collapses in slow motion, while everyone asks, why didn't you communicate better? You are walking around trying to be a good partner, a good father, a good provider, a good emotional support animal, a good listener, a good therapist, a good punching bag, and a good mind reader. And somehow, still getting told you are doing the bare minimum. And then comes the part nobody puts in the fairy tale, the system. Because when relationships end, the breakup hurts, but the legal and financial consequences hurt more. Officially, courts say they are gender neutral. On paper, everything is fair, balanced, and based on the child's best interest. But in real life, the numbers tell a different story. In Australia, only about 9% of separated families end up with a close to equal shared care. Around 46% of kids live mostly with mum. About 3% live mostly with dad. And in court orders, mothers receive sole custody in roughly 45% of cases, while fathers receive sole custody in about 11%. Now, you can explain those numbers in 100 different ways. Culture, work patterns, care roles, history, whatever. But when you are the dad who just went from tucking your kid in every night to seeing them every second weekend, those explanations don't feel academic. They feel personal. Same father, same love, different calendar. And people say, it's about the child's best interest. Yeah, right. Somehow, the child's best interest almost always looks like dad becoming a scheduled guest in his own kid's life. And judges don't have to hate men for bias to exist. Research shows even the language used in court decisions describes men and women differently. Not aggressively, not maliciously, just differently. Different expectations, different emotional framing. Bias doesn't have to shout. It just has to repeat. Then there's the accusation factor. Not because every accusation is false, but because when an accusation happens, the system doesn't gently pause and investigate. It goes straight to maximum impact. Access restricted, reputation damaged, work affected, social circles go quiet. Then months later, oh, nothing was proven. Okay, can I have my reputation back now? But that's not how this works. Men don't live in fear. Men live in awareness. And awareness changes behavior. You stop joking the same. You stop venting the same. You stop disagreeing the same way. Because everyone knows how unforgiving consequences can become. But let's not put the blame solely on women. Men forget birthdays. We mess up. We shut down emotionally. We say dumb stuff. We avoid hard conversations. That's real. But the punishment doesn't feel proper. It feels nuclear. You don't just fail the relationship. You fail financially, socially, legally, publicly. You don't lose a girlfriend. You lose a lifestyle. You lose your house, savings, routine, identity. And men become quiet. It's like signing a contract where the exit fee is your entire personality. Meanwhile, everyone says, just communicate. But we've already been there and we've done that. We've tried, and it turned into a 3-episode Netflix series called Why You Don't Appreciate Me. So men start living in soft mode, careful mode, filtered mode, walking on eggshells mode. They are not being fake, they are being strategic. Because one bad emotional patch, and suddenly you're explaining yourself to people who already decided the ending. And the wild part? Men stay in unhappy relationships longer than they should, because leaving looks more dangerous than staying. Men delay marriage, not because they hate commitment, but because they've seen the bill. Men joke about prenups like they are emotional seatbelts. Men joke about divorce because crying gets you called weak. Men joke about custody because anger gets you called toxic. Men joke about false accusations because fear gets you called insecure. So we turn stress into humour and hope nobody notices. That's why guys call it Russian roulette. Because it doesn't feel like you are betting love. You are betting custody, finances, reputation, peace. And nobody agrees on the rules. You are not scared of commitment. You are scared of consequences. You are not scared of love. You are scared of losing everything you built because of one argument that never really got resolved. And the craziest part? Men still want relationships, families, loyalty, connection, stability. We just wish it didn't feel like every conversation was a legal, financial, and emotional performance review. Love used to be about hearts. Now it's about custody schedules, time percentages, court orders, and how neutral the system really feels when you are standing in front of it. So yeah, relationships don't feel romantic anymore. They feel tactical. They feel like Russian roulette with everything on the line. And if that made you laugh, nod, or quietly say, yeah, that's about right, then you already know why people don't talk about this out loud. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's definitely pretending they are fine. Because this channel isn't about pretending. It's about saying the part everyone else edits out.